All right, well, you may have noticed a flannel shirt. It is a bit chilly out here this morning. It's about 45 degrees. It's supposed to be cold for a couple days, just at night, not during the day. It's supposed to warm, I think 70s. So not too bad, but fall or autumn, if you call it that, seems to be in the air for a little bit. So you noticed over there, the chickens, they've been there. I don't know if they were there last time we did an animal update, but we've had them there for probably, they've probably been a month. I think we're gonna leave them there all winter. We put them on deep bedding on wood chips in hopes that they turn all that all winter and get us some good compost for the garden. You notice here, we got some new chicks in the brooder that we just got this week. Just a couple days ago, actually. So they're a little chilly. We went to this hover brooder instead of the heat lamp because I think the heat lamp was a little too high off the ground for them being so small and so chilly. So we'll probably plug another hover brooder in as they get a little bit bigger. We do have one or two more of those. So they seem to be doing all right. This batch is the same as the last. We got 35 plus 2. They gave us 2 surprise chicks, and then they gave us 1 extra Cornish cross. 1 died. It looked like it had a broken, either a broken or a dislocated leg. So it lasted, it made it a few days. We were making sure it got food and water because we didn't want it to suffer. And it was getting around, and then yesterday it was dead when it came out. So, but so far the rest of them are doing pretty good. So we have to go do the other chicks, the previous batch of chicks, the turkeys, and the pigs, and we'll kind of give you an update on the animals because people have been asking because we've been focused on the roof lately. So we'll go see the meat birds. right, so we're trying soaked grain this year to see if it's any more beneficial than just the regular dry grain. The biggest thing we realize is there's a lot less waste. We've been soaking the chicken feed, the layers, and the pig feed for, oh, I don't know, a couple months now. There seems to be a lot less waste. So we're trying it with the meat birds and the turkeys as well to see. And so far it seems to be going pretty good. They don't waste that fine powdery stuff that they usually would have. So I will say that the Saskovich style chicken tractor that we have the turkeys in, that thing is nice compared to the Salatin one. It's nice to be able to walk in there. The biggest downfall to that one, what did I do with my spoon? The biggest downfall to the Saskovich one is it seems to be quite a bit heavier than the Salatin one. You notice I just pulled that by hand. We tried the string like we were doing last year to pull it, and honestly it's just easier to open up both doors and pull it ahead. So that's what I've been doing with that one. And then the Saskovich one that the turkeys are in, that one does have a string on it, so we'll get them some feed because I think they're ready. I forgot that fence is on. All right, turkeys are good. We put them in this net a few days ago, and then we're moving that net forward. There's just too many of them for that one tractor. I don't have another Saskovich one, and I don't want to put them in the Salatin one because it's a little short. So we'll just use this extra chicken net that we have, and then they'll be in there for about 3 days. Turkeys are natural foragers, so they'll eat that down pretty good. I don't know how well it picks up, but they ate the base of that tree pretty good, which I don't care because that's gonna come out eventually anyway. But yeah, we want them to do damage to an area before we move them ahead, because this pasture is really not good. This was all brambles when we moved here, just like it is over there with the sheep. So having their manure will be a big help. We'll get them some water, and then we'll go check on the sheep. One thing I forgot to say, the turkeys, the amount of grit that they eat compared to chickens is wild. The turkeys themselves have gone through one of the bags of grit from Tractor Supply. I think it's, oh, I don't know, 10 pounds, 15 pounds? I'll put it on the screen here because I don't remember exactly how much. It's that blue bag of grit that you get at Tractor Supply. They've gone through one of those since they've been out on the pasture. And the chicks, I think last year when we did 100, I think they went through one the entire time they were out on pasture. The chicks, we started them on the real fine stuff. We started the turkeys on that as well. And then when they go out on pasture, we upgrade to the bigger stuff. And the amount of grit that they eat it's wild. So if you're ever gonna raise turkeys to sell, make sure you factor in the cost of grit because they eat a lot. All right, so the sheep are in here. They're about the farthest away from the camper that they can be. We're at the front corner of the property. This is the area that gets really, really wet. The pigs were here last winter. There they are. So this grew up because I couldn't mow it in the spring. And by the time it dried out enough to where I could get the mower in here, it was already too tall for the mower, and I didn't feel like beating up on the mower again. So the sheep have been clearing it. It's probably, oh, I don't know. We could go one more paddock. So you see where it's cleared, that's a ditch and then the road. So it's probably, I don't know, 30 feet to the road. Not too far. We're gonna leave that up a little bit for now. And then we'll probably clear that next spring or something like that with a bush hog maybe. But the sheep have been clearing all this. I wonder if there's a deer in the woods here. I hear something in there. I think there is. Let's see if I can't see it. Well, there was, but it got away. The fence, this is our property line. That's the neighbor's property, so this fence is kind of down. This is their thoroughfare. They come through the woods, across the road, through these woods, up our property line, and then they go to the back corner of our property. But it's a good thing that they're here, because we were trying to keep them around this year for deer season. So we got a couple months before deer season. But anyway, back to the sheep. So they've been clearing it. You can see I can just go in afterwards and mow it. They'll probably be here for another 3 or 4 days maybe, till they eat this down. They're still eating quite a bit. And then they'll move over. I think we got 4 or 5 paddocks here, and then we're gonna shoot them over to the front corner of the property in our front 2 pastures, and then they'll work their way up. And then our thoughts are we're gonna try to get hay cut a little bit early this year so that that can grow back up before it goes dormant, our hay field. And then we're just gonna feed them in the field all winter. We're still gonna move them, and then we'll just feed them hay in the field to get their manure and all that stuff dropped out there to help that pasture, because it could really use a lot of help. So let's see if I can get the sheep over here so you can see them. They are getting bigger. Well, it seems like they're pretty content eating this morning. We did also go, I don't know, camera adjust. We went to 2-strand on this paddock. This is the first one, and so far so good. Mostly the first day we had them in this paddock, we moved them in there, I don't know, about 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, and then I came back out around 8 o'clock at night to I can't remember what I was doing. I might have been checking on the chickens or something, and I saw a sheep over here by the shelter, and I was like, oh, there's just one by the shelter. And then it moved a little bit, and I'm like, that looks really close to the fence. And then it moved again out there by where I parked the mower, and I realized that there was a sheep out. So Buddy, our male, was out somehow, and then on the other side where we just were over there, there was, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 piles of droppings. So my guess is he got out early. I don't know if he got spooked or hit the fence or whatever, but he was just hanging out over here. So I don't know how long he's out for, but I'm guessing it was a little while. So that was the only issue we had. And so far they've been pretty good. So sheep are good and growing. Now we'll go check out the pigs. Okay, so that's 2. We do still have 3 pigs. The other one, Maple, is in the shelter. So we think she is cycling again, which is kind of a bummer because Crispy's been in with them for, oh, I don't know, 3 weeks or so. So it's a discussion we've been having a lot lately that if we don't get piglets out of these 2 again, if she's cycling now, we'll give it another chance. But it's still too warm to process anyway, so if we don't get piglets out of either one, then unfortunately they're going to end up in the freezer because they're not cheap to keep around. I don't know what we would do with Crispy because the girls weigh, I don't know, 550 pounds, so that's a lot of meat for us. That's probably at least a year's worth of meat. So we might try to sell Crispy. Who knows? Or if one of them produces piglets and one of them doesn't, I guess that would be kind of ideal situation. But yeah, it's kind of a bummer. So that's where we're at with them right now. They're still getting feed. They've been in this paddock for not quite a week. So I got another 5 days or so and then we'll move them. We're just gonna keep rotating them through the pastures, this pasture, I guess I could say, because it's not really great, but they're breaking down the wood chips and stirring them around, so that's good there. We'll move them all winter through that area. The little ones, you can hear, are on the other side of their shelter. So these ones, I don't know if I can get them on camera because they're super skittish, which is kind of a bummer. Let's see. There we go. That's a little bit better. They're getting big. I think they've probably doubled in size since we got them, but they're super skittish. I mean, if you just make, it won't come up to you. That one's not too bad this morning. So yeah, we don't really want our pigs to be skittish because it makes it harder come processing day. But it is what it is. You can't really control it. So far the red wattles don't seem to be rooting up that much. I don't know if it's because they're little or because we haven't gotten any rain and everything's so dry, but you can see by their water they made that little hole, so they could definitely root up in there if they want to, but they're not doing that too much, so that's a good thing. We have seen them eating grass, which is also a good thing. So take the good with the bad, I guess. The bad is they're super skittish, so hopefully we can get them a little bit better. But we're not feeding them any scraps because 2 of them so far are sold, so we're sticking to just feed for cost purposes, so we can figure out a cost, and we're giving all the feed to, or all the scraps to the bigger pigs. We may have another one sold, or if we have to process the bigger pigs, we may try to sell both of the other 2 in half or whole shares. So we'll see there, but that's all the animals. We have done a little bit of other work. The pond is super low. Yeah, so we'll take a ride and then show you what else we got going on. All right, so the pond, there's still some action going on in there. There's definitely fish, there's still turtles, but boy is it low. So I would guess since, well, when we were in California in July, we got 3 inches of rain, and I would guess since May, we've probably got 4 inches of rain, and it is now the beginning of September. So that's not good for the pond. It's been good for us building, but our pastures are suffering, the pond is suffering, everything is kind of in rough shape. So while we still have quite a bit of work to do on the house, I'm kind of hoping for some rain here in the next couple months. But what can we do? So anyway, up here by the barn site, you can see that big pile. When I had the skid steer out here one evening, I came out and pulled some of these tree stumps that I could. Oh, I'm still attached, but knocked those out. That big one I can't get. I busted up the concrete, so that will be my winter project. I'll just come out here with a sledgehammer and break that up, and we'll use that as our base for the shop, or not the shop, sorry, the barn. The barn is on hold. It's not going to get built this winter. Had a couple issues when we ordered it, so we just decided to put it on hold. We got way too much going on with the house. We're trying to make a push to make as much progress on that as we can. You can see the trees that I cut down a while back are still laying here. I went and bought a new chain for the chainsaws, and I just been lazy. And well, I guess I haven't been lazy because we've been working on the house, and I just haven't had time to dedicate to cutting up these trees. So leaving them where they are for now. I'll come out here and get them cut eventually. We still got to go through all this lumber here. Once I'm kind of waiting for the grass to die back, and then this winter I'll come through and go through it all. This stuff's all gonna go. It's gonna be burned. It's all rotted. So this pile here is gonna go. That pile there is a good pile. This winter I'd like to try to put a water catchment barn, shed, lean-to thing up in the upper pasture with some of that wood, but we'll see. The other thing we're thinking about doing is building like a pig shelter with that. Not like a shelter like they have, but a shelter we can put deep bedding in there and put the pigs in there to make some compost. So maybe put 2 pigs in that, and then also we could use that same structure for when we take those, since some of those are sold, we have to take them to a processor. So we can kind of hold them in there before we bring them to the processor. That way it's not like a chore to get them out of the pasture the day we have to bring them in. So that's what we're going to use some of that for, I think. So I don't know what else we got going on with the animals. That's about all the animals. The garden, I don't know if you can see it down there. It's pretty dismal. We've been getting some tomatoes, a few peppers. We do have some watermelons and cantaloupes growing in there. I'm not sure we'll get them big enough before the cold hits, but that's about it. We did look up the soil that we got, and from the place that we got, and a lot of the reviews, people had it tested, and it's really high in phosphorus, they said, which makes sense why nothing is growing. So one, it's not what we ordered, and 2, it's just not, it's not good soil. So that's why we're trying to make that push, like I said, with the pigs, and then earlier with the deep bedding with the chickens. We're trying to make that push to make our own compost. I don't know if we'll have enough. There's a couple horse farms around which I may go to and see if they put their horses in the barn, if I can't get their bedding and their manure so we can compost that. That would be a big help. And then we can put that on our garden. And then we got another place that we're going to end up ordering compost from, probably, because we won't have enough this year. So we'll order some compost from this other place for next spring. But there was a little bit of that soil left over. We just dumped that in with the chickens, so they scratched through it, and we'll leave that as a base, and then hopefully it helps out. But we are going to get that soil tested before we cover the garden with silage tarps this winter. We're going to send that soil sample to University of Tennessee and have it tested just to see and confirm that it is too much phosphorus. And then once we add our amendments in the spring, new compost and all that, we'll get another sample and send it to UT, and then that'll help us out big time with next year, because we're hoping for a lot better garden next year, which will be easier anyway because we should be in the house, and it'll be a lot easier to process in the house than in the camper. So I gotta go fill up feed buckets, get it ready for tomorrow or tonight or both, and then I don't know, we'll pick back up with you guys in a couple hours and see what else we got going on and see what else we can show you. Well, we did not get back out here to do anything else with animals today. So you can see all this metal over here. We got it all moved from where it was over there. Just came out to give the chickens some carrot scraps that we've been processing. So anyway, got all the metal moved, but that's where we're at as far as animals and what's going on around here. This is our busy time with animals, fortunately or unfortunately, I guess, with doing the roof and everything else. We got busy, so we try to do birds, meat birds in the fall. Next year we're actually going to do them in the spring because temps are a little bit cooler, it's easier to process and all that jazz. But anyway, that's what we got going on. So next video will be back on the house. So thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and we'll see you on the next video.